What's up, everyone? My name's Clark Glassford. This is my practice interview, and this is where we help you land your dream job. Today's topic is all about what are your salary expectations? You get that asked in the interview, you get that asked on application forms. So many of us don't know what to put down or what to say when that question is asked, and I will give you, like I always do, the formula on how you respond to that question on an application or in that interview and what number you put down so that you keep getting called for interviews, you eventually get hired, and you get hired at the salary that you want. So before we get there, as always, you are here for some information on interviews, interview tips, how to ace your interview, how to get some salary information to land that role, to get paid what you're worth. This is my YouTube channel. Subscribe now so you get the videos that I put out every single week. I've got a bunch of links below. I want you to check those out. All free information for you to help you navigate through the recruitment process, landing your dream job. Now, no more of that. With that said, here we go. So today we're answering the question, what are your salary expectations? And I'm gonna say it's not as difficult to answer as you may think, but it all comes down to research, okay? You need to know your value going into that interview so you're well researched, or on that application, right? You'd be asked that question on your application, you'd be asked it at the end of your first interview. You could be asked that question at the beginning when they're calling you for an interview. What are your salary expectations? If you say a number that's too high, you could be pricing yourself right out of the market, right out of another opportunity. If you say something too low, you may just be undercutting yourself and selling yourself way too short, because here's the inside tip. On the recruitment side, as a hiring manager, as a recruiter, like I've been, as a hiring manager, like I've been, I'm gonna offer on the lower end because I know that salary savings will translate to more room on your salary scale to move up over a period of time, but it's also about having some room to negotiate. That's really it at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, you need to have some room to negotiate as a hiring manager, as a recruiter. So if you say a number that's low, that's the number I'm gonna offer you at as a starting point each and every time. Now, I've got videos here and here in the links below on how to negotiate salary, how to negotiate above the salary range. Check those out. It's a great foundational piece when you're getting into the recruitment process and needing to identify salary. So it's really important that you know what the high end of the range is, what the low end of the range is, and how to kind of put yourself somewhere within that range. So it comes down to research. So first tip here is if they're asking you, what are your salary expectations? You want to respond back with something like, hey, what's your range? That's a good question to ask. Put it back on them. Let's see if they give you a range. Or you want to make a statement such as, I'm really looking for the right fit, the right opportunity for me. Salary isn't everything, it's about the whole package. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that before we start talking salary. Both those statements there are perfectly acceptable, but you do run into that brick wall every once in a while, whether it's in that application on the front end where they're asking you for your salary expectations, or you've just got that hiring manager who says, nope, I need an answer. I need an answer. You got to tell me, what's your expectation? What's your expectation? What's your expectation? And you're going, oh gosh, I got to give them a number. What am I going to say? So here it is. Here's the tip on how you do your research and how you get that number. And before you get there, one little piece of advice here is you never ask that information, especially at the first interview. You don't want to display that all you're thinking about is money. You want to be able to display that you are interested in the company, in the job, in the opportunity, in all of that stuff without having to come out of the gate and say, well, how much does this position pay? That will come up at some point. Like it always does, it has to. You just don't want to be asking that question out of the gate. So avoid that right at the beginning, especially in that first interview. So how do you do your research? Well, fortunately, in this day and age, there's awesome resources available out there. Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and salary.com are all excellent resources to look up what salaries are available in your industry, in your region, in similar size companies. You can get all that information from those websites. Now, personally, I like Glassdoor. I like the way it spits out information. I like the ranges it displays and the analytics behind it. That's just my personal preference. You can look at all three and decide what works for you as part of your research, but Glassdoor for me works. So for this example, what I want to do is walk through a Glassdoor exercise here. So when you're looking up a salary range, you go into Glassdoor, very simply, you put in the type of role that you're looking for. So in this case, I'm looking for an IT project manager. I'm looking in Portland, Oregon. I would like to see what the average range is for a position within Portland at an IT project manager level. So what comes up, you can see it on the screen here, is you've got this range which shows you what's on the low end and what's on the high end. So on the low end, you're looking at $72,000. On the high end, you're looking at about $148,000. That's based on a sample size of 63 people who have been surveyed, who have provided that information to Glassdoor to provide that information on salaries in the region. So that's a pretty good analysis there and a pretty good idea for you to know, okay, the range is here. So, but here's the other thing, that's a big range, 72 to 148. What do you decide? Here's what I advise clients. You don't want to be on the low end because, like I said, me, Mr. Hiring Manager, I'm going to offer you on the low end. What I would go for is mid to high. As long as you're comfortable with that range and you feel that your skills and experience support that, you go mid to high. You want to be feeling that if you ask for mid and they offer you mid, you're going to be really happy with that rate of pay. So my advice to you is stick to mid to high. So in this scenario here with this manager of IT, you're going to say, I would like to look, I've done some research, I've looked at comparable companies, comparable industries within the region here, and the range I'm looking at is between $103,000 and $148,000, which I think is reasonable. Does that meet your budget? Very easy to say that, very easy to put it back to see if it meets their budget. Now you're within a range that is supported by research and evidence that you've uncovered there. So that's how you say it in an interview. Now, of course, you get on these online applications and it won't let you proceed. You cannot click further, you cannot submit unless you put in a range. So again, this research is really important because what you're selecting is the range within that industry. So you put in those numbers. Hopefully they're not going to be on the low end. If they are, then you know that. At least you know what the range is there. Now, the really cool thing about all of the sites I talked about, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and Salary.com, is you can drill down further, which is really cool. You can actually drill down into company specific. If you sign up for a website like Glassdoor, you have to, in order to be a part of the website, you have to give some information about the company you currently work for or previous companies that you work for and what your role was and what the salary was. Once you enter that, then you get access to all of that information. Really valuable information. So if I want to look at a specific company in Portland, Oregon, there's a good chance that that company might have some information from employees who've worked there about what the salary range is. So you can even drill down a little bit further, knowing the company you've applied for and what the range is, and then you know very specifically that you are within the range. Now, it doesn't work like that in all circumstances. There are some companies that you won't find that information, and that's why you do more of a general search when you're on a site like Glassdoor and similar industries, similar sized companies, and get that range and see if you're there. It's not perfect, it's not an exact science, but it's gonna get you as close as you can to feeling very confident when you have to answer that question, what are your salary expectations? Tailor to what you're comfortable with. You need to be, at the end of the day, comfortable with the ask that you're making on salary. That's really important. So I've given you some advice being mid to high. You may say, well, maybe I'm a little on the lower side of mid. Maybe I think I need to be on the higher side of high. That's your choice. That's what you're gonna have to look for. But just remember that if you're on the low side, you may be undercutting yourself. If you're on the high side, you may be taking yourself right out of the market and not be getting job offers, not be getting interviews, maybe not even getting past that application stage where you're just submitting your information. So that's what I have to say about, tell me about your salary expectations. Try these tips, they work beautifully, and at the end of the day, you will feel very satisfied knowing that you're getting a salary that reflects your skills and experience that's all relative to the industry and company that you've applied for. So with that said, as always, there's links below, some great links to my videos, playlist of what you can review as you're getting ready for your interviews. I've got my free practice interview ebook. It's a great book, step by step, of what you need to prepare for the job interview with actual sample interview templates at the end of the book, which you can use to, guess what? Practice, prepare for your interview. It's free. There's no reason why you shouldn't get it. Get it like right now, or as soon as this little session's over, you gotta go get it, download it. It's free now. The other one is my Interview Accelerator Workshop. It's a digital course put on by me. It's an hour and a half. It's a great hour and a half of your time on the steps you need to put into preparing for your job interview. We go through resumes, how to craft the perfect resume and cover letter, all the different types of interview questions you can be asked, how to answer those questions, and all the little mistakes applicant make along the way, the pitfalls, landmines, those types of things, how to avoid them, and how to navigate through so you are hearing those magic words, you are hired. It's a great digital course, well worth your time. Get that as well. Hope you've enjoyed the video, everyone. Like I always say, keep rocking your interviews. Until next time, we'll see you then.